Everyone talks about spring planting and summer harvest, but really the ultimate test of self-sufficiency is being able to feed your family through the winter time. Today we are working on a massive harvest of all of the vegetables that we have outside. So we're going to explain how we eat, and we eat well throughout the coldest months of the year. And for us, that's January, February, and March, because winter does not have to be a time of scarcity. It's all about your preparation and having the right systems in place.
These are really good. So with carrots, we like to leave them in the ground at least until winter solstice. The ground is a perfect root cellar environment for them to preserve themselves. After that, if we wait too long, the texture starts to change because they start to go to seed and they lose some of their sweetness. We don't want that to happen because these things are good. So we're pulling them out now. Wow, you're eating that's a big carrot. You eat all that?
We've been harvesting these carrots with the soil knife and the trowel, but we're going to move to using the broad fork because some of these carrots are really deep in the ground and we keep accidentally breaking them. So the broad fork will help loosen up the soil first before we pull everything out. This is some very tough soil that is not super loose at the moment. So using the broad fork is definitely going to be a big help with this. One of the most important things that we do for a winter harvest like this is we have to sow carrots, lettuce, cabbages, and any other vegetables in the heat of the summer so that they are almost mature when the weather turns cold and there is very little sunlight. It's very tricky to get it exactly right because weather can vary from year to year, but we do our best and it usually ends up working out. We got the majority of the carrots harvested. Now we are immediately taking off the tops because we want these carrots to store for as long as possible. If you leave the greens on, they will suck the moisture right out of the carrot. And then you'll be left with a carrot that's soft and it doesn't taste very good.
Nobody likes a mushy carrot.
Ooh, I love that. Honestly, this has been a pretty mild winter for us. Some years are definitely more harsh than others. If we have harsh temperatures, I will cover my carrots with a significant amount of mulch before covering them with a row cover. And then in this case, we have the tunnel over top. So they are able to last a long time in the ground. Harvesting this late in the year, it works for us, but I do realize there are many of you in colder growing zones where this would not work. When I first started gardening, we lived in Idaho and we're in zone 3. So if I were still growing there, I would not be able to do things the same way if I lived there. I would not be growing as many successions of carrots. I would probably just grow one large crop of carrots and then cover that with mulch at the first frost and then do one big harvest of everything before the ground started to freeze. So I wouldn't wait all the way up until winter solstice. As soon as it got really cold, I would pull those carrots out of the ground and store them. And I will say also in our area, we have had a few years where it got very cold very quickly. So we had to harvest everything pretty early in the year. So if you are in a colder area or if it just gets cold very quickly, you just want to move that whole timeline up. I talked earlier about how we have to time our planting for being really close to maturity in the fall, so we can keep the veggies in the ground for October, November, December, and sometimes into January if the weather cooperates. Even though we go off our averages, the weather is different from year to year. So if a fall is colder than average or warmer than average, we can strategically use row cover to keep our harvests on track. And what I mean by that is if a cool season crop like lettuce is maturing too quickly, we can keep the row cover off of it even when a light frost is in the forecast. And then on the flip side, if the lettuce seems like it's not maturing fast enough, we cover the bed with row cover even before we get a frost. One of the most important steps with washing the carrots is to make sure that they're dry before they go into storage. Otherwise, they will rot. So they have to be totally dry, like completely.
What are we gonna make with all these? We just gonna do like 100 pounds of carrot cake or something?
Can you grab that towel and lay it back there? Because our other one is entirely full.
Yeah, let me shake it out here. Sorry, am I walking too fast?
You always walk fast.
Okay, I always walk fast. So while the carrots are drying on the towels, we're gonna head back and close up the tunnels for the night. It's supposed to get really cold really quick.
So that's gonna wrap up today. We always think we can get more done than we actually get done.
Yes.
But we will finish up the rest of the carrots tomorrow. We have a whole bunch of cabbage to pick, and we got to get it all picked before tomorrow because otherwise it's probably going to be too cold and get some frost damage. So
Yeah.
we really need to make sure we get it done tomorrow.
Cold. Why did I do that?
We just celebrated Bear's first birthday and the time has gone by so fast. Even though he eats some solid foods now, he's nursing pretty much full time and showing no signs of stopping, which means I have to be really mindful of nutrition and vitamins for both of us. That's where Ritual's essential postnatal multivitamin comes in. After birth, it's important to switch from a prenatal to a postnatal vitamin because your nutrient needs change, especially if you're breastfeeding. I recently read a stat that says nearly 70% of lactating women are not getting enough vitamin A from diet alone. The essential postnatal multivitamin includes vitamin A and other nutrients you and your baby need. My favorite thing about Ritual is how intentional they are with every ingredient, using science-backed nutrients that are traceable, thoughtfully sourced, and easy to absorb without any unnecessary fillers. The essential postnatal multivitamin is formulated specifically for the new nutrient demands of a mother for 6 months after giving birth and throughout lactation. Right now, Essential Postnatal is just $23.40 instead of $39 during Ritual's New Year's Day sale. You can use my link in the video description to get 40% off your entire order.
Day 2, we need to hurry and wrap up this harvesting session because it's even colder than we thought. We got carrots in here and outside to harvest, and then 2 kinds of cabbage.
Yes, and the parsnips too.
Oh, parsnips, yes. Okay. We're kind of hiding in here because it's just nicer.
So we have a little change of plans. We decided since our time is so limited, we're gonna leave the parsnips in the ground because those are pretty cold hardy. And instead, we need to harvest all this broccoli. I realized once I walked down here that this is something that we do need to harvest before it gets really cold. One thing that is a must for our family is having something fresh all year round, even in the dead of winter. So one plant that I absolutely love that grows where we are in the south, but also survives in really cold temperatures like 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you cover it a little bit, it can survive to like -10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's called Mache. And this has the best flavor. It has a like nutty aftertaste that is so good. It's also super nutritionally dense. It has a ton of vitamins and it has omega-3 fatty acids, which is super unusual for a leafy green. It's so good.
Yeah.
The other thing about this is that they use it in like fancy restaurants. So it's like one of those kind of
high class living.
Yeah. This is one of the few leafy greens that I enjoy just eating as is without any kind of dressing on it because it's just so good by itself.
I hope this tomato's good too. I'm gonna eat that. Don't even need to go in for lunch. It's all right here.
How was the tomato?
It was good. It's like kind of dry. Well, you know, like mealy. Usually the juices help it go down, but it's a good little snack. We could just stay out here. Just gonna hop out of here like a rabbit.
Cam and Noel just finished harvesting all of the celery. I was inside feeding the baby and now he's down for a nap. So we're gonna go out and harvest the carrots that are outside while it's still semi-warm.
Yep.
We just finished harvesting the carrots, so while we're already out here, we're going to go ahead and harvest the cabbages that are in these low tunnels. They've been here too long. See, it's splitting, and so it's getting damaged.
So we ran into a little bit of a problem. When we uncovered the low tunnels on the cabbage, there's quite a bit of frost damage. There's still some that are good that we'll harvest, and the rest will go to the pigs and the chickens, so everything's gonna be fine. But
we still have a bunch of Napa cabbage in the other tunnel that I'm hoping is still good. But these ones, I've pretty much ignored them for, I don't know, maybe a month or so. I haven't even looked under there. And when I looked, I was like, oh boy. So we'll just save what's good and the rest will go to the pigs.
since it's cold and we're kind of on a time crunch, we're just gonna harvest the ones that we're gonna take in for us that are still edible.
After harvesting the cabbages outside, I am so glad that we have the high tunnels because everything that is in here is in way better condition and it actually just grows bigger and looks nicer and everything. So we harvested a Napa cabbage out of this tunnel a couple of days ago, and now we're here and going to harvest the rest. So when we hit February and March, we usually have so little in the ground. We rely on our leafy greens like Mache and spinach. And then for everything else, we are using our preserved foods. In my opinion, fermented foods are the closest thing in texture to eating a vegetable fresh. We like sauerkraut, fermented carrots, green beans, jalapenos, and kimchi, and the list goes on. But they all maintain a good amount of crunch, and as a bonus, they have all the probiotics from fermentation. By the end of winter, I am usually craving fermented foods, and I kind of deduce from that usually I'm having this healthy craving because my body is telling me I am deficient in something and need some kind of nutrition that it offers. Using a little bit of common sense and my gut feeling on what to eat has really served me well in the past and even now. Okay, we're on the last little bit here. All we have left is harvesting the broccoli, and then we're gonna be done for today. One of the things I want to try and do better at this year is weighing our harvests as they come in. So that's what we're going to do right now. Is we're going to weigh this harvest. This is kind of an unusual thing because usually we don't do like a massive harvest like this. And that's why it's a little bit more difficult because we have to like be very strategic about weighing as we go along. But because the cold is coming and because we're past the winter solstice, we needed to harvest it.
Yeah. And what's the point of weighing to keep good record?
Yeah, it'll be nice to see like year over year how many pounds we got, and then we can look at that number of pounds and be like, okay, we had way too much because some of it went to waste. So we only need to grow this much. That way our time and energy is funneled into
the right amounts and no overage. And it helps us see like, oh, we ate X pounds of carrots this year as a family or whatever.
Cam's gonna go ahead and start weighing everything. I'm gonna be in the background here, writing everything down, all of the weights in my garden journal and planner here. This one has a harvest log. This is my sister Amy's planner. So I'm very partial to this, but I love it. And she has it organized by month, so I can see that in January I harvested a certain amount.
56 pounds. Napa cabbage, first half, 33 pounds. £30 pounds. 16 and a half. Napa cabbage is done. We're moving on to the Brunswick, or the round cabbage. 29 pounds. 18.7, so just 19. 3 pounds, 4 ounces. Let's say 2 pounds.
Once we got the cabbages all weighed and all the veggies weighed, we put all of those away. So how we put those away is we just tightly wrap the cabbages in saran wrap. And because our cold room isn't working right now, we just stored everything in the garage. It's cold enough outside. It's just a perfect area for them to be stored. Now we're gonna move on to doing a more long-term storage of this cabbage. Since we have 80 pounds of Napa cabbage to go through, I'm gonna make a lot of kimchi. So last night I made a batch of brine and put the cabbage in it so that I could get started on making the kimchi right now. But I'm gonna make another batch of brine and kind of show you guys that as well. My recipe uses 10 pounds of cabbage per batch. So we will be making at least 5 batches of this, and we have enough to make 8 batches, but I'm not gonna make that much. That would be way too much. We'll just eat the rest of the cabbage fresh. Just the way I make kimchi, I make it in a big batch and just get it all done for the year because it's like a one-time harvest and a one-time preserving thing. So my kimchi recipe, makes a pretty large amount of kimchi just off the bat, and 10 pounds of this Napa cabbage plus all of the other ingredients makes about 2 gallons worth of kimchi. So we grabbed these cabbages from the garage and weighed them. It's about 12 pounds worth of cabbage, but once I take off all of the outer leaves and cut off the ends and stuff, I think it'll be close to 10 pounds. I brought over our cabbage and brine that we did yesterday, and I'm gonna take off these weights and put them on these bowls that I just filled, just barely. I actually think once I mix up this batch of cabbage, I will take everything from these bowls and then transfer it into here. The brine is supposed to sit for 4 to 6 hours, but sometimes I just leave it overnight and it usually works out just fine. I took out the cabbage. Now I have the liquid in here. I don't want to dump all of that. I need to reserve 3 cups of this because I will put it back in the kimchi at the very end to make sure everything is submerged in liquid. I like to use a thickener in my kimchi. Usually I use a sweet rice flour. I'm currently out of that, so I decided maybe I would make my own. So I actually only have brown rice right now, which may or may not be a good thing, but we're gonna test it out anyway and see how it goes. It seems like that rice flour is going to work just based on the look of it. Seems like it's fine enough for the kimchi. So now it's time to get started with shredding and chopping up all of the veggies for this. We have some Chinese chives or like green onion type of things that I found outside. I'm not quite sure what they are, but they're gonna go in this kimchi, and then we also are gonna chop up some regular yellow onions. The reason I do that is because usually this time of year I don't have a ton of green onions to put in this. So I usually do a combo of like half green onions and then half the regular onions. I'm also going to shred the carrots that we just picked in our food processor, and then some daikon radishes in the food processor as well. It just makes it really fast and easy to shred it all with that kitchen tool. Now I'm gonna get started with mincing up the ginger and the garlic. We grew this ginger not this past garden season, but I think it was 2024, and it's been in the freezer and it's still in great condition, and we have a lot left, which works out perfectly for making this kimchi. So I took the ginger out of the freezer probably an hour ago, and it's been sitting on the counter and just kind of thawing, and I was able to peel off the skin really easily because it was frozen and then thawed. So now we're going to just chop everything up in the food processor. We also still need to chop up that cabbage that was in the brine into bite-sized pieces. And then we will move on to putting everything in the bowl mix it all together, and then put it in a crock, put the weights on, and get it fermenting. I've got the kimchi in the crock and it's about halfway full. I'm gonna put the weights on and the reserved brine and kind of get this just settled right now. But what I'm gonna come back and do is make another batch of kimchi tonight with the cabbage brine that we already made. I'll make one more batch in a couple of hours. I'll put it in here and then cover everything. That way I'm making the most of this extra large crock.
So yesterday we mentioned that any extra cabbage that we're not going to use for the kimchi, we're going to send down to the pigs so they can finish that off. We have a few minutes right now and we're going to load the tractor up and take some down to them. We'll mix this in with their regular food so they're not just getting 100% cabbage and 0% anything else.
Even though winter is the season with the least amount of abundance, that's where a little preparation makes all the difference. To get ready, we grow more than we need in spring and summer so that we can preserve it, and we plant in late summer for a fall and winter crop. And when the ground is going to freeze deeply, we harvest everything from the garden, store it in the best way we know how, and preserve what's left. The vision, planting, and so much effort and work from many months before pays off in the end because we are able to eat our homegrown abundance year-round. It's proof that food self-sufficiency is possible even when the harvest is complete and the ground is frozen. A little bit of planning makes all the difference.